Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends. Hope you all are doing well and safe. Today, I am back with a completely new topic, emotional intelligence. Now, while AI and automation takes over routine mental and physical tasks, AI is becoming the key differentiator in achieving the excellence of individual and organizational engagement, product innovation, and customer experience. The McKinsey Group has identified that between now to 2030, the need for social and emotional skills will grow at a much faster pace than the need for the cognitive skills. Now, have you ever felt after reacting to certain situation and realized that you could have reacted in a different way? If you do feel that so often, then it's very important to know more about emotional intelligence and practice it so that the reaction would change. If you don't have this feeling very often, but others have suggested that you could have reacted in a better way, then also learning emotional intelligence and practicing the same will help you. If you don't encounter or receive feedback so often, or perhaps not receive feedback, then also it is a good practice or good thing to know a little more about it and practice it, even though I must say that you are in a much better position in terms of emotional intelligence. Do you know how emotional intelligence impact on people working at different roles? Let's see one by one. For individual contributors, today with dramatic increase of information, data, knowledge to perform any job with complexity in the business process puts employee in more stress and pressure. On top of that, today every job requires collaboration with others, right? So, which means number of people, most of them who are under pressure on various different reasons, need to collaborate to get the job done. Do you think it's easy? Actually, it's not. People who are performing customer facing roles, even if you have a great product or a solution to offer, but if you cannot connect with the customer emotionally or unable to understand the emotional pulse of the customer, it's almost impossible to be successful. Because it's very important for selling anything that we need to connect with our client or customer emotionally. Two human beings are interacting here, right? All these cases actually. Case 3, people who are in leadership role. Remember one thing, people don't leave companies. Actually, people leave people. This means that the main reason for attrition lies with the supervisor, manager and the leaders and their capabilities to connect with their people. We are interacting with human resources here, which means it's very important that connect with people with emotion, especially when both the manager and resources are under pressure or under stress. Fourth type, millennials and older generations. Usually it is found that the two generations are not been able to gel well, which is called often as generation gap. Now, if both the sides or at least one side use the emotional intelligence while connecting with others, in that case it becomes much easy and we can bridge that gap of generation gap much easily and the collaboration becomes much better. Now, most of us face different situations in a day which creates different level of emotional response. For example, we get an unexpected request from a client, a comment in an email, or a look from a co-worker, right? To handle all these kind of situations in a much better way, the employees must be trained on emotional intelligence. If they are not, then there will be an impact on the perspective, the working memory, as a result of the productivity will be impacted. Moving on. With all these things, we understood how emotional intelligence helps an individual and an organization. But do we know what exactly emotional intelligence is. So, emotional intelligence by definition is a mental structure or psychological makeup which is an acquired skill. People who have this skill understand and express emotion while communicating. They also use empathy during their communication. These people have acquired a technique through which they respond to a situation in much matured and predictive way. Thus, other people feel safe to communicate with these people and also feel motivated during and after the conversation. Very important. Do you like your manager, your co-worker, your lead, or anybody per se to communicate with you this way, which you feel safe, you feel good? We are familiar with IQ and personality. These two are kind of fixed, does not change during the adulthood of any person. However, do you know how to measure emotional quotient? There are 4 factors. 1. Be aware of emotion. Self-awareness about the emotion, on what situation, what kind of emotion usually I get or face. That is point number 1. Point number 2, expressing emotion. Self-management or self-control about the emotion. When, how much emotion should I show? Controlling emotion. Number 3, social awareness. Here controlling the emotion based on the social factor. And 4, relationship management, which helps to develop and manage the relationship. People will feel free to interact with people who has higher EQ or emotional quotient. Do you know how do we respond to various situations based on our emotional level? It can be psychological response, which may in turn of physical response. For example, some people, when they get very angry, their body starts shaking, hands starts tumbling. These reactions are internal, which means restricted only to one person. You can't expect this kind of reaction to happen with anybody and everybody in the world. You can't generalize it, right? So, emotional intelligence drives the following. Number 1, how do we react to a situation? Number 2, our attitude towards a challenge. And number 3, our relationship with others. So, that's all for today. I will come back with part 2 in couple of days time and talk more about emotional response and how do we improve our emotional intelligence. Till then, thank you and have a nice week ahead. Thank you very much.